When you feel like life has dealt you a hand of unfair cards, instead of folding, you double down and you stuck in the game. You faced battles, you felt broken, but hey, do us a favor, put your hand on your heart. You feel that? You're still here. Welcome to the Resilience Files Unlocked, where survival meets transformation. Hey, welcome back to the Resilience Files podcast. I'm your host, Carrie Bernunz, actress, stunt woman, and host of the Resilience Files podcast. We are so excited about the new episode we have today. He is 14 years old, and wow, what a beautiful story of life, right? Sometimes the thing that feels like punishment is actually redirection. And we're going to learn that about Zander's story. As everyone knows, this space is a space that exists for honest stories of resilience, faith, and becoming, especially when life doesn't go the way that you expected it to. As we do here on the Resilience Files, we love for either our guests to read their essay out loud, or we have a guest host that reads it, or us, the host, reads it. Well, Zander is going to read his essay on today. And afterwards, we'll get into learning a bit more about Zander and his experience. So, Zander, would you mind taking it away?
Of course. Hi. I really wanted to share this story because it always shows that God has a plan and that there was a reason for everything. I was about 13, and it was about halfway through 8th grade year, and Christmas break 2024 was around the corner. It was a Wednesday, and I was in my last period, math. They had taped math problems around the locker area, and we had to go solve them with a group. So, of course, I chose my friends. I wasn't the best at math at this time, so I had to take my time on some of the questions. I got angry that my group kept leaving me because I was too slow. So, class ends, and I go to where we get picked up as car riders, and I was silent most of the time, despite one of my friends being next to me. There was this joke going around at the time about school violence. He asked me what's wrong, and I made a stupid choice and blurted out that joke. In my mind, I was thinking, I should have told him I was joking as he gets into his parents' car. My day after that was just as miserable, mainly because of math class. So then the next day came, and I didn't think about it at all. I was in Spanish class for my first period in homeroom. Me and my best friend were working on a project where you had to make a house and label the items in it in Spanish. We were goofing around on the computer looking for things for the project, and something inappropriate popped up, and I closed the tab immediately. So about 5 minutes later, the principal and the police officer show up and take me from class. I assumed it was because of the inappropriate thing that popped up, so I stayed as calm as I could possibly be, and they asked me questions about if I knew what I was in trouble for, and I said no. They take me to my locker and unlock it and search my backpack. They find nothing in there, and I take it with me to the office. They sat me down and told me that I was in trouble for saying that joke. My friend had told them I said that I was going to effing shoot up the school and don't effing talk to me, but of course without the censoring. I had not said either of those things and told them this. The principal is confused and doesn't understand why I only said the phrase, which this was a joke, don't come to school tomorrow, and nothing else. So the police officer asked me for my mom and dad's phone number. So I give them to him, and he calls my dad first, and my dad picks up and is driving to the school. And then they call my mom while she's at work, but she doesn't pick up the first time. And they send me to go do work right outside of the office. So I open up my computer and try to communicate with my friend what happened through the project slides and realize that it's already second period. So my parents arrive, and I can already see the dread on my dad's face, and my mom came in with a co-owner of her business for emotional support. So they sit my parents down, and they tell them everything that happened without me in the room. They then bring me into the room, and my mom is the saddest I have ever seen as she wipes her tears with tissues. She asked me if the things that they said I did were true, and I said no. The principal continues to condemn me of these actions, And even my mom knew that it was not like me to cuss. So she says to the principal, "I know teenagers cuss, but that's not something my son would do." I was in a criminology class at the time, and it really interested me and was possibly something that could be a future career. So the principal ruled that it was just the criminology class that I was taking and thought that it was okay. So she just suspended me for 3 days, counting that same Thursday. We got in the car to go to my mom's office, and the words that stuck with me the most that my mom said were, "Last time I was in this office, I was told I was salutarian." My dad went to the post office as a stop before he got there, and it was just me and my mom in the car, and she asked me, "Did you tell the truth?" And I responded, "Yes." She called me very mature for the way I handled the situation without lying. So I spent my days suspended and came back on a Tuesday. And of course, everybody had asked me what happened. And my teachers were extremely nice about what happened. And they gave me the rest of the week's work of the suspension time to do. About a month passed, and all the good students got to go to Carowinds, which is this theme park, for a day. So I spent that day doing work while the others had fun. But that was part of the punishment. We had this big trip to Williamsburg coming up, and I was eligible to go because of one of the guidelines was only to have one out of school suspension. So the final payment came up for the trip, and my parents pay it, and I get in my dad's truck at the car rider line, and we drive home, and he gets a text from my math teacher, who was the organizer of Williamsburg, saying that I can't go to Williamsburg. And we, of course, were not happy about this. So they debated going to the school to talk to the principal about it, but then there was another option, and that was to be homeschooled. I chose to be homeschooled, and that Friday, I returned everything from the school that I had, and we went and got books for my homeschooling. I'm in ninth grade when I'm writing this. Since I have been homeschooled, I have signed an acting contract with a contractor. I have been nominated to represent North Carolina at the Congress of Future Medical Leaders. I take AP Biology. I take an advanced cybersecurity course. I take Mandarin. And I take singing lessons for my acting. If that doesn't prove that God always has a plan, I don't know what will.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for the courage in sharing that story. After reading it out loud, how do you feel right now?
Great.
Yeah, you feel great? I love that. Well, first off, I want to let you know that, of course, you know this, but your voice matters, and that you telling you this story also can help other kids not only watch what they say, but also be mindful that sometimes people would add additional words to what you say and make it seem much worse than it is. Now, of course, I will say as a disclaimer that we don't tolerate bullying here on the Resilient Spouse podcast. And I'm not saying that you're a bully. And I can say that as a kid, used to be a kid myself, a big kid now, I'm an adult. But, sometimes we say things that we don't really mean and we say it jokingly and just brush it off. But sometimes those words do have power and they land. And sometimes it does cause fear in other people. We always know that one moment can just change everything. And in that moment, it definitely changed the way that you felt in that school. But that redirection also helped your projection. You're in a completely different environment now, being homeschooled, and it's a healthy environment where you're learning Mandarin, ni hao, and you're also doing singing lessons and acting, and all of these amazing, incredible things. In that moment, I just want to take a step back and ask you, like, the joke and the misunderstanding.
Hmm.
When you realize that people misunderstood the joke of what you were saying and they made up in their mind that it was something deeper and they didn't ask you to clarify it, how did that make you feel?
It made me feel like I definitely I knew that I messed up and maybe I should have added in that I was joking because now I realize that's definitely nothing to joke about. But
Right.
yeah,
Tell us about before you made that joke. How were you feeling? What was going on in your life? Like, what was your friend group like?
I sat next to these people in math. We made all kinds of jokes. I mean, some bad. That's just really most of the people that surrounded me were making bad jokes. Yeah, and it just really wasn't the best time in my life.
And Before that moment of having that friend group where people were making bad jokes, did you have friend groups that they made positive jokes or just like a different conversation?
I mean, really, most of my life, well, from like, I'd say maybe 5th grade up, it's kind of been like that. So,
Yeah. When you said that joke to your friend, you said you had a lot going on. You were stressed out, you were exhausted, you felt like you were already left behind because y'all were doing the math stuff and then your friend was going to get in the car. Did you just learn about school shootings at that moment or what made you want to say that joke at that moment?
I mean, really, I was just having a lot of conflict in my mind. It was just going through thought after thought, and I decided to say something to maybe brighten up the mood, but it obviously did not do that at all.
When the principal officer, when the principal and the officer came to your class, did you think it was for you?
At first, well, I didn't even see them because my desk is like facing the front of the classroom and they came up behind me and touched me on the shoulder. So then I obviously knew it was for me.
What was running through your mind at that moment?
The inappropriate thing that had popped up, I was thinking about how I could defend myself if there was anything bad I did the day before, which that didn't really cross my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I respect about you and respect about the situation is that you told the truth regardless of the cost of that. And you said this joke, but you didn't say the extra stuff that was added on there.
Okay.
When they added this extra layered of comments that were inappropriate and, built fire around the situation, how did that make you feel?
I was kind of shocked and I felt like I needed to defend myself because the way they twisted it was crazy.
Yeah. What was the hardest part of finding out that you were going to be suspended? Did you feel like that it was necessary, or do you still feel like it was wrong of them to suspend you in the first place?
I mean, I feel like it was necessary to an extent, but at the same time, I don't know how to put it. It was just like I couldn't believe I was getting suspended because through most of that year, I had a pretty good reputation and they acknowledged that, of course. And I just couldn't believe I was getting suspended.
Yeah, but I think being misunderstood definitely hurts. And when you said that you felt like part of you felt like you should have or could have been suspended, what was that part of you?
Probably the worser part of me, of course, but like back in 6th grade, I made even poor choices, but I didn't get suspended for it.
Yeah. If you feel comfortable sharing, what type of poor choices would you say that you felt was worse?
So I hung out with some pretty bad people, and I've never done any of this stuff myself, but just to fit in, I used to say I smoked weed, did drugs. I never did any of that stuff. I just said it to fit in. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like so often a lot of kids do that. I mean, at
Mhm.
the end of the day, you want to belong, right? You want to be a part of a community. You want to not feel like an outsider. What do you feel like? What caused those moments for you to say those things that weren't true in those moments? Was it because you wanted to fit in that you said those things? Did you feel like if you didn't say them, that then they would exclude you? You wouldn't be cool enough?
I felt like I definitely had like a reputation to hold up at that point in time. And of course, those bad jokes were part of my reputation, so that definitely had a little bit of influence on it.
Yeah. How were you when you felt like you started telling bad jokes?
Hmm. I wanna say around 12-ish, 13-ish, somewhere around there.
Do you remember the reason why you first started telling bad jokes?
Of course, to fit in.
Yeah. Do you continue now to tell bad jokes?
No.
Yeah. I just want to say to you this, and as we continue to go on, that I'm just meeting you for the first time, but I think you have an amazing personality. And I think that you are unique and you are obviously very smart. And that you're going to make friends based off your personality and people are going to want to be around you just because you're a good person, just because you are striving to do something in life. And you're going to have much more positive growing friends that are gonna have so much more potential than the people that you have to pretend in order to fit in. That's going to drain you and that's going to keep you in a place that is not your full authentic self. So I know that you know that and you're becoming that and you're 14 and you're growing. But I just want to say, like, Xander, I think like already, like you're gonna have all the friends in the world. And just you by being you is gonna attract like the people that should be around you. Okay?
Thank you.
Absolutely. What so people that haven't been suspended that's listening to this podcast, like, during that time, your mom asked you, like, "Did you tell the truth?" And you're like, "Yes, mom, I told the truth." And your mom said, "Okay." What was the hardest part at that moment for you for being suspended? What was going through your mind?
Well, I knew it wasn't really like me to get suspended, and I've always wanted to be the smart person, but at this time in my life, I didn't really hold up as the smart person, of course. But I was sad because last time my mom had been in that office, she was filled with joy, and now she was filled with sorrow. So I was really in a lot of regret.
Yeah, absolutely, that makes sense. Yeah. And did your parents at that time, did they use that as a punishment or they used it more as a learning lesson and said, "Well, it's okay, we're here with you"?
They used it as a learning lesson, which I'm very thankful for.
Yeah, it's a blessing to have good parents that did that. So you had signed up for some wonderful field trips. One you weren't able to go to, but the second one you earned because you had good behavior. At that moment of receiving the text message from your teacher saying, like, you're not allowed to come anymore, how did that make you feel?
A little bit angry, a little bit sad, a little bit unaccomplished. I felt like I had still deserved that despite my mistake. But then when she said that, my thoughts went to just maybe public school isn't really for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. What do you, how do you feel when people hold over things on other people, even after they made a mistake and they ask for forgiveness and they've done the work? How do you feel when they still hold that over on them? Do you think that's fair, or do you think that that makes sense that people still have those thoughts in their head?
I think that's kind of unfair, but to a degree, depending on how bad it is, it could kind of be okay, but still, I feel like everybody deserves forgiveness at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at that moment, you said you decided that public school maybe wasn't for you and that, choosing homeschool maybe was. How did it feel like leaving a traditional school where you got on a bus or got dropped off every day and you saw your friends and going to a homeschool environment?
That was definitely an obstacle to get over, but it wasn't such a big obstacle because I've been at points in my life where I haven't had a lot of friends and I've already experienced it and I know how to survive in an ecosystem like that. And I felt like kind of homeschool felt like the light at the end of the dark tunnel for me.
Yeah, I think sometimes walking away is really walking towards. And like you said, you felt like homeschool was that life for you. And what looked like a what looked like it was a loss was really alignment for you because look at you thriving now. What do you think is your most favorite thing about being homeschooled versus being in a traditional school?
There's a lot of free time. Definitely the fact that you have a lot of free time because, like, I get done in with my work in about, like, 2-ish hours every day, so I have plenty of free time. I could spend that free time doing something else productive as well because I have, like, so much time left in the day.
Mhm. I love that. Is there anything that you miss about traditional school?
A little bit, just the aspect of, having all your friends a little bit, having the choice of like, "Oh, I could do this class," but like hold on, how do I explain this? Like, if there was a photography class, then I could do like a photography class, but here I can't do that so much. But at the same time, my dad used to be a photographer, so I could still get that same learning experience. So mostly just the friends.
Yeah. Do you find times now to meet other homeschool friends or other friends in general through like other extracurricular activities?
Definitely. I have this friend, I've been friends with him since we were like 5, and I talk to him like every day now. He's not homeschooled, but he goes to Challenger High School, which once he gets done with Challenger, he'll have like an associate's degree pretty much.
Oh, wow. That's great. I love that. Let's talk about now. You have new opportunities, new life, and you're in a homeschool environment. You're thriving. You are signed to agencies and you're pursuing the arts. Tell us about everything that you're doing right now,
So
or whatever you want to tell us.
yeah. So now, after I get finished with my regular work, I do the cybersecurity course, of course, because I want to pursue cybersecurity. But at the same time, there's so many other things that interest me. I can't focus on just cybersecurity, like healthcare, psychology, protection of the country. So much interests me, I can't just pinpoint things. So that's why I try to get a little tiny bit of everything.
I love that. I think that is incredible that at the age of 14, you're focused on cybersecurity right now. You're going to be the next genius of, you could be like in the presidential cabinet if you want to. I think that's phenomenal. What made you want to do cybersecurity? What made you interested in healthcare? What made you interested in all of these things? Is it because of your parents or is it, do you know what you want to be when you grow up? I mean,
So, what interested me in cybersecurity is, well, my dad had a degree in like cybersecurity when he was in college, but also not too long ago, I had this incident happen to me online where this person said that they were going to steal my information and possibly link it to a bomb threat. So, we had the police come and they said, "It's okay, we'll just write my name down and make sure that it's not associated with it, of course." And then that made me really wanna focus on how I protected myself online. Yeah. And then for healthcare, my mom's a dentist, so that kinda just jump starts how you look into healthcare in a way, and yeah. And for what I want to be when I grow up, it definitely differentiates so often. Like, not too long ago, I wanted to be a dentist, and then I wanted to be a healthcare cybersecurity specialist. And then at one point, I wanted to work for the CIA. And now I'm focusing kind of on psychology a little bit.
yeah, I love that. I love that. Wow. You're living proof that redirection does work and that you can also explore a variety of things. I mean, you're 14. I say try it all and see what you really love and see what you're like, you know what? I'm not sure about that. And you're learning it young. You mentioned a lot about faith and maturity in your essay. How has your faith grown in this process of everything that has happened?
So it's really shown to me how there's always a plan. You really have to trust, and it's really strengthened my relationship with God a lot. And maturity wise, since I'm homeschooled now and I don't have all of those friends fueling me bad jokes and whatnot, I can kind of form my own personality and maturity and
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, you're able to fill yourself with positivity. You're able to fill yourself with faith and with joy in those things that the resources and things that come with that. I love that. You're able to take out the negative and insert the positive in unique ways. I think like something that's important to say is like wisdom doesn't come with age, it comes with experience. And through your experiences, you have developed more wisdom. And you could be 14 with wisdom or you could be 77 with wisdom, but I love that you're really doing this for yourself. If you could talk to another kid right now that feels really misunderstood and they feel like they've been pinned down as the bad person, or they were the one that did this, and they've been disciplined for something that they took as a joke, what would you tell them?
Tell them probably think about what you say before you say it, and trust in yourself, believe that the process will roll out into something better. Yeah.
I love that. Xander, your story reminds us is that our mistakes don't make us, but our choices do, and is how we pick up ourselves after the fact, even when we are misunderstood, or even if we throw a joke and it actually turns out to be worse off than what we thought. And the choices that we make next is what drives change. You're 14. You're doing incredible things. Is there any last words that you want to leave with us here on the Resilient Spouse?
First of all, I just want to highlight how thankful I am to be in the position that I am right now. And I just want to say, no matter anything bad that happens, there will always be a good outcome. And just think about what you say before you say it.
I think that one of the things that resonated a lot in your story, and even you said like since 12, is that like everybody wants to fit in.
Yeah.
You feel like if someone's listening today, or someone like maybe a mom or dad is listening, or a grandma or grandpa or someone, and they want to give this child some advice, and they feel like, I just want to fit in. I don't like they're struggling to fit in. So they feel like they have to make something up in order to stay in that circle or group. What would you tell that person? Like, how do they say like, no, this isn't what you should do? Like, what would you tell that person?
In the end, fitting in doesn't matter. Be yourself as much as possible and do what you know is right.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Of course. I just want to say, don't try to fit in, just be yourself, period. And I don't have any social media at the moment. I try to stay off of social media mainly
Good.
because it has played such a big part in my life that I kind of want away from it now. And I just want to experience what's outside, go look at nature, go experience life. And that's another thing I want to leave with the people.
I love that. So if you hear Xander's story, get off social media, go experience nature, get outdoors, experience life. And if you're listening to this and something didn't work out, or something took the wrong direction that you never saw it going, it doesn't mean it's over. It might mean that this new path is going to lead you to more opportunities and a better peace of mind. If you hear this episode today and you know that you have a young person in your life that needs to hear this story, to let them know that despite any bad that has happened, that good is still to come. And to also encourage them to be mindful of what they say and the choices that they make. We appreciate you, Xander, for your courage, for your vulnerability, for sharing your story. We wish you so much success in the future with every single thing that you do. And you're always welcome back on the Resilient Spouse podcast. I know that you're going to get older.
I was nominated to represent, actually, in Boston in June. I am representing North Carolina for the Congress of Young Medical Leaders.
My goodness, I am so proud of you. And
Thank
I'm
you.
so happy that you are surrounded by amazing parents that continue to support you in this. Many blessings on that journey. Congratulations. That is no small feat. You should be very, very proud of yourself. And I hope that someone listens to this story today and be reminded that it is not over. It is just beginning, and to just keep putting one foot in front of the next, and remind yourself that if you got to take yourself out of the environment that is keeping you in a mindset or a feeling that's not comfortable, remove yourself and put yourself in a better environment that you can thrive in. Thank you, Xander.